Tombstone, 1993, isn't just another Western. It's a cult classic that blends history, myth, and some of the most unforgettable one-liners ever written. With its mix of gritty realism and larger-than-life performances, the movie became one of the defining Westerns of the modern era. But behind the iconic mustaches, the blazing six-shooters, and Val Kilmer's unforgettable Doc Holliday, lies a story full of production chaos, studio politics, and surprising trivia. Today we're riding into the heart of the Old West to uncover 20 weird, surprising, and little-known facts about Tombstone that will make you see this legendary film in a whole new light. Saddle up because we're about to draw down on the truth. Number 1. A director fired on set. The production of Tombstone was almost as chaotic as the Wild West itself. Originally, screenwriter Kevin Jarre was hired not only to write the script, but also to direct. He had a strong vision, an epic, historically faithful Western filled with elaborate costumes and authentic sets. But once cameras started rolling, his lack of directing experience became obvious. He struggled with scheduling, pacing, and working with the cast. After just a few weeks of filming, Jarre was fired from the director's chair, which is rare for a major production. George P. Cosmatos was then brought in to take over. Though Jarre's direction never materialized, much of his vision, including the period-accurate costumes, remained intact. Number 2. Kurt Russell secretly directed most of the film. Although George P. Cosmatos officially took over as director, many cast members have admitted that it was actually Kurt Russell running the show. According to Russell himself, he secretly directed much of Tombstone, while Cosmatos acted more as a frontman. Russell kept this hidden for years, only revealing it later in interviews. He wanted to protect the movie's reputation and ensure no drama overshadowed its success. Essentially, Russell not only played Wyatt Earp, but also helped shape the entire film's tone, performances, and pacing. This explains why so many scenes feel deeply actor-driven. It's not every day the star of a movie also becomes its uncredited director. But in this case, it may have saved the production.
You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear?
Number 3. Val Kilmer filmed many scenes. While sick, Val Kilmer's portrayal of Doc Holliday is legendary. But what makes it even more impressive is that he filmed many of his scenes while dealing with health issues. Kilmer caught pneumonia during production, which actually made him look more pale and frail on screen. Instead of harming his performance, it added to the authenticity of Doc Holliday's illness with tuberculosis. Kilmer leaned into this reality, giving Doc a haunted, almost ghostly quality. That coughing, sweating, and weakness wasn't entirely acting. It was partly real. This dedication, combined with Kilmer's razor-sharp delivery of lines like, "I'm your Huckleberry," made his performance unforgettable. Many critics and fans agree it's one of the best portrayals of any character in a Western. Number 4. Sam Elliott didn't think it would be a hit. Sam Elliott, who played Virgil Earp, had doubts about Tombstone's chances at success. At the time, Westerns were considered box office poison. Audiences had largely moved on from the genre, and Hollywood wasn't producing many. Elliott admitted later that he didn't expect much from the film beyond a paycheck. But once it hit theaters, the movie found a strong audience, quickly becoming a sleeper hit. Its mix of authenticity, action, and memorable performances revived interest in the Western genre for the 1990s. Elliott has since praised the film, acknowledging it became much more than anyone anticipated. For an actor who already had a long career in Westerns, Tombstone turned into a surprising highlight.
Gentlemen, I'm not gonna allow any...
Number 5. The cast grew real mustaches. One reason the actors look so authentic in Tombstone is because the mustaches were real. That's right, no fake facial hair here. Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, and the rest of the Earp brothers all grew their iconic mustaches specifically for the movie. Russell joked that living with the mustache was the hardest part of playing Wyatt Earp. Meanwhile, Val Kilmer also grew his famous Doc Holliday mustache, which added to the character's charm and menace. The commitment to facial hair gave the film an added sense of realism, something fans and critics praised. To this day, those mustaches remain some of the most memorable in movie history.
Oh, thank you, darling. Kate.
Number 6. The movie saved a studio. When Tombstone was released in 1993, Hollywood Pictures, an offshoot of Disney, was struggling. The studio had produced a string of underperforming films, and executives were desperate for a hit. Tombstone became exactly that, grossing more than $73 million worldwide against a $25 million budget. The film's success not only restored confidence in Westerns, but also gave Hollywood Pictures a financial lifeline. Without Tombstone's strong box office showing, the studio might have collapsed sooner. Ironically, while Disney wasn't known for gritty Westerns, it ended up backing one of the genre's most beloved modern classics.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear?
Number 7. A rival Wyatt Earp movie was in production. At the exact same time Tombstone was being filmed, another Wyatt Earp project was in development, Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp, 1994. Costner had originally been involved in Tombstone, but dropped out after disagreements with producers. He then moved forward with his own version of the story, which became a much longer, slower-paced film. The rivalry between the two productions was intense. Ultimately, Tombstone came out first and was a box office hit, while Wyatt Earp underperformed despite Costner's star power. To this day, fans and critics tend to compare the two, with most agreeing that Tombstone's leaner, action-driven approach made it the superior film. Number 8. The gunfight was filmed in a single take. The legendary gunfight at the OK Corral, arguably the centerpiece of the movie, was filmed in one continuous take for certain sequences. The cast and crew rehearsed extensively to get the timing and movements perfect. This gave the scene an intensity and realism rarely seen in Westerns. Instead of piecing it together through quick cuts, much of the tension came from the actors performing in real time. The choice worked brilliantly, creating a sense of chaos and immediacy that audiences could feel. It also showcased the commitment of the cast, who trained with firearms to ensure authenticity. That single-take approach elevated the showdown into one of cinema's most iconic Western battles. Number 9. The script was over 200 pages long. Kevin Jarrett's original script was massive, over 200 pages. For comparison, most Hollywood screenplays average about 110 pages. Jarre wanted to create an epic Western that captured every detail of Wyatt Earp's life and the history of Tombstone. But once production began, it became obvious that much of it had to be cut. Dozens of characters, subplots, and details were trimmed to streamline the movie. Even with those cuts, Tombstone still feels dense with story and character development. Some fans argue that the deleted material could have made for a fascinating extended cut, but as it stands, the final film still captures Jarre's sprawling vision. Number 10. The role of Doc Holliday was almost different. Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday is iconic, but the role was nearly played by another actor. Rumors suggest Willem Dafoe was originally considered, but the studio vetoed him because of his controversial performance in The Last Temptation of Christ. Other names were floated, but when Kilmer signed on, it was clear he was the perfect choice. His combination of charm, menace, and vulnerability turned Doc Holliday into the film's standout character. Today, it's impossible to imagine anyone else in the role. Even Kilmer himself has said it was one of his favorite performances of his career.
I'm your huckleberry.
Number 11. Billy Bob Thornton's scene was mostly improvised. Billy Bob Thornton makes a brief but unforgettable appearance as a loudmouth gambler who crosses paths with Wyatt Earp. What many fans don't know is that much of that scene was improvised. Kurt Russell encouraged Thornton to ad-lib his insults, and Thornton ran with it, creating the character's obnoxious personality on the spot. When Wyatt finally slaps him into silence, the payoff feels genuine because Thornton had free rein to antagonize. The scene became one of the film's most memorable comedic moments, despite being completely unplanned. For Thornton, it was a small role that helped boost his early career before his later success with Sling Blade.
I'm getting awful tired of your I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work.
Number 12. Powers Booth's villainy was almost too intense. Powers Booth played Curly Bill Brocious, leader of the Cowboys, with such menacing charisma that even the cast admitted he was intimidating on set. Booth threw himself into the role, bringing a mix of humor and sadism that made Curly Bill stand out among Western villains. In fact, his performance was so commanding that test audiences reportedly reacted more strongly to him than some of the heroes. Booth's gleeful cruelty, like laughing while shooting into the sky, gave the Cowboys a larger-than-life presence. While Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp get most of the glory, Booth's Curly Bill is often remembered as one of the film's best characters, proving that a strong villain makes the heroes shine brighter. Number 13. Michael Biehn wanted to outdo Val Kilmer. Michael Biehn, who played the deadly Johnny Ringo, knew Val Kilmer was stealing the show as Doc Holliday. Determined not to be overshadowed, Biehn pushed himself to deliver a performance just as memorable. He studied Ringo's historical background, practiced extensively with firearms, and leaned into the character's dark, brooding nature. The result was a menacing foil to Kilmer's Holliday. Two men circling each other like predators. Their verbal sparring matches are among the movie's highlights, with audiences left wondering who's more dangerous. Biehn later admitted that the rivalry between Ringo and Holliday felt real, partly because he and Kilmer fueled each other to raise their performances higher. Number 14. The Latin duel was historically inspired. One of the most famous moments in Tombstone is the Latin duel between Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo. Many assume it was just a clever screenwriting choice, but it actually has some basis in history. Both Holliday and Ringo were known to be well-educated men, and there are records suggesting they may have exchanged barbed intellectual insults in real life. Screenwriter Kevin Jarre took this detail and expanded it into one of the movie's most memorable scenes. The decision to have them duel with words instead of guns in that moment added a layer of sophistication and tension. It proved that battles of wit could be just as thrilling as shootouts. Number 15. Stephen Lang stayed in character as Ike Clanton. Stephen Lang's performance as the cowardly Ike Clanton was so convincing that many viewers didn't even recognize him. To achieve this, Lang stayed in character off-camera, constantly annoying his fellow cast members and making himself the loudest presence on set. Unlike the stoic Earps or the polished Doc Holliday, Ike was meant to be reckless and pathetic. Lang embraced that, delivering a character audiences loved to hate. Decades later, fans still talk about how he perfectly balanced comedy and menace. Ironically, Lang is now known for playing tough guys in movies like Avatar, but in Tombstone, he leaned into cowardice, and it worked brilliantly.
Cut your goddamn pimp's heart out, you understand me, you pimp? You fat me, you little son of a...
Number 16. The Huckleberry line was almost different. Val Kilmer's most famous line, "I'm your Huckleberry," was nearly changed. Some studio executives didn't understand the phrase, which in 19th century slang meant "I'm the right person for the job." They thought modern audiences wouldn't get it. Kilmer fought to keep the line, arguing it was both historically accurate and perfectly in character for Doc Holliday. Thankfully, he won the battle. Today, the phrase is one of the most quoted lines in movie history, spawning memes, t-shirts, and endless fan references. Kilmer himself has said he's constantly asked to repeat it, and it remains one of his proudest acting moments. Without his insistence, the movie might have lost its most iconic catchphrase.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Number 17. Real gunpowder was used in blank cartridges. To make the gunfights look authentic, the filmmakers used blank cartridges loaded with real black powder. This gave the muzzle flashes a brighter, smokier look, just like guns of the Old West. However, it also made filming more dangerous, since the smoke filled sets quickly and the loud blasts were overwhelming. Actors had to train extensively with firearms to handle the recoil and movements correctly. Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer both praised the decision, saying it added realism that CGI could never replicate. The dedication to authenticity paid off. The gunfights feel chaotic, dirty, and real, which is why audiences still rank them among the best in Western history. Number 18, Jason Priestley's role surprised everyone. Fans of Beverly Hills 90210 were shocked to see Jason Priestley in Tombstone as Billy Breckenridge, the conflicted deputy sheriff. At the time, Priestley was a teen heartthrob, not someone associated with gritty westerns. His casting raised eyebrows, but Priestley delivered a solid performance as a morally torn character caught between the cowboys and the Earps. It was a bold career move that showed he wanted to stretch beyond television stardom. Though his role was small, it added another layer of intrigue to the film's ensemble cast. Many fans didn't even recognize him at first, proving how well he disappeared into the role. Number 19, the movie wasn't an awards darling. Despite its popularity, Tombstone received little recognition from major award shows. Val Kilmer's performance as Doc Holliday was widely praised, but he wasn't even nominated for an Oscar or Golden Globe. Critics were divided when the film was released, with some dismissing it as just another Western. Over time, however, the movie gained cult status, with fans declaring it one of the best Westerns ever made. Today, many argue Kilmer was robbed of a nomination. The lack of awards didn't hurt the film's legacy. It arguably made it more of an underdog, beloved by fans rather than critics.
You know Daisy.
You know Daisy at all.
Number 20, the real Tombstone embraced the movie. After the release of Tombstone, the actual town of Tombstone, Arizona, saw a huge boost in tourism. Visitors wanted to walk the streets where Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday once lived, and where Hollywood had reimagined their story. The town leaned into this renewed interest, offering reenactments of the OK Corral gunfight and tours of historical landmarks. Locals even credited the film with saving Tombstone's economy, turning it into a popular Old West destination. To this day, fans still visit because of the movie, proving that Tombstone didn't just make cinematic history, it reshaped a real town's identity. Tombstone may have been born from production chaos, studio rivalries, and risky creative choices, but the end result is one of the most beloved Westerns of all time. From Val Kilmer's career-defining performance to the authentic gunfights and unforgettable one-liners, it's a film that continues to grow in legend. It didn't win big awards, but it won something more important: longevity and love from fans who still quote it decades later. Whether you admire the mustaches, the shootouts, or the sheer charisma of its cast, Tombstone has carved out a permanent place in pop culture. And as Doc Holliday might say, that's definitely Huckleberry worthy.